Hi, this is the first episode of Clobbering Time with Craig. The idea was given to me by someone on Twitter, at Pepper Loves Punk. It's a great idea, so thank you. Anyway, for the first series, episodes, I'm just going to talk about my experiences with wrestling, the people I've met, how long I've been watching it, and so on. So I started watching wrestling in 1991. The first match I saw, I think, was just Sergeant Slaughter against a jobber. And then the first event I saw on TV was the 91 Royal Rumble. And instantly I became a fan of the Ultimate Warrior. There was just something about him that I thought was really cool. Always preferred him to Hulk Hogan. The first event I saw was SummerSlam 92. And I was actually halfway on the aisle for that one. You can see me on a DVD. It was I was wearing a green hat and a red jacket, so I stand out a mile. And after that, I started going to some of the shows that were at Royal Albert Hall back then in '93. Back then, it wasn't doing too well over here, and the venue was half empty. And then I just kept on going to the wrestling events from there. And the first pay-per-view I went to see was WrestleMania 17 in Houston, Texas. And they had the fan access on the weekend, which was the first time I'd ever been to one of them. Two people I met, because there was stations for 3 or 4 stations for meeting wrestlers then, and there was long queues for all of them. Met Kurt Angle, Mick Foley. Kurt Angle was really nice. It's quite funny because I said to him, "See you next week in the UK for the tour," and he didn't even have a clue he was coming over here, which I thought was quite funny. And then there was Mick Foley, who's very polite but clearly doesn't like shaking hands. But yeah, it was a cool experience. And then you had the event, which to me, WrestleMania 17 was my favourite of all time. There's many things that stood out, like Edge, the TLC tag match, which was brilliant, and also Austin joining forces with Vince McMahon. And then the pay-per-view after that was, let me think, it was WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, where I got to meet Booker T. I think that was about it, because again it was like massive queues, so and the way they did it wasn't as good as it is now. And so yeah, Booker T was really nice, very funny. And then there was Seattle, WrestleMania 19, where I met Tori Wilson while walking around the shops, which was really cool. At the time I was too shy to go up to her, so I got my sister to do it. But I managed to get a photo with her. Also, while we was eating in one of the restaurants, you see A-Train or Tensai, whatever we want to call him, running round the building towards someone the other end, looking like he's about to beat the hell out of someone, which was quite funny to see. And at the fan access, we met Kevin Nash. People were in queue for Goldust, but everyone was actually holding back because people weren't really interested in meeting him. So, and luckily I held back as well, and Kevin Nash came out 5 minutes later, which was great. WrestleMania 20 was, met John Cena for the first time on the streets. I was just walking along, looked up, suddenly I see John Cena walking towards me, and boom, I was gone. I just said to my sister, "It's Cena," and I was gone. She didn't even know where the hell I was. And so yeah, I got a photo with him. He was really nice to me. And yeah, WrestleMania 20 itself was brilliant. Standout for me was the ending with Chris Benoit winning the title, him and Eddie Guerrero in the ring together. That was a really cool moment. WrestleMania, and there was also a few other events we went to in between. Was Survivor Series 2002. I think it was 2002. The first Elimination Chamber match, of which Shawn Michaels won the world title, and when Scott Steiner returned to the WWE, which was funny because when Scott Steiner's music hit, my sister was downstairs getting food, and she said suddenly everyone just went charging, running up the stairs to see it. It was quite funny to see at the time. There was WrestleMania 21, which was Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels match stood out by a mile with that one. And by the time they didn't have the fan access anymore. They went through a period up till, I think it was WrestleMania 25, where they didn't do the access anymore, which was a shame, because I thought it was really good. Then there was WrestleMania 22 in Chicago, which was the decent pay-per-view. Cena versus Triple H and Edge versus Foley. And we got to meet Mickie James in one of the shops on the Friday, and Eugene. Yeah, Mickie was really nice. Eugene was fine. 23 we didn't. WrestleMania 23 we didn't go to because it was Detroit, and I wasn't nuts on going to Detroit. So 24 was Orlando. Didn't get to meet any wrestlers there because again there was no access at the time. We were sitting on the floor for that one, and now this was the first time they had this really stupid structure. This great big pineapple blocking half my view of the ring, which was really annoying. But overall it was a good show. 25 was in Houston again, and they brought back fan access, which was great. We met Matt Hardy, Charlie Huss, Marlena, Candice, the Bellas. Yeah, there was many others I met, I can't remember offhand. But we nearly met CM Punk. I think it was, no, that was the Phoenix one. We nearly met with CM Punk at the Phoenix Access, but as we got to the front of the queue they cut it off and he went, and we ended up with Gail Kim and Molly Holly, which was a bit of a shame. So I wanted to meet Punk because he had Christian with him as well. Yeah, anyway, 26 was Phoenix, yeah, which we met again, loads of wrestlers, too many really to go through. 27 was Atlanta, where I finally got to meet Trish Stratus for the first time, which I was lucky to meet her because of Maurice and Alicia Fox decided to mess us around and turn up 45 minutes late for the post that we were standing at waiting for them. And then when I left them, I suddenly see Trish Stratus doing signings, and we were told that we might not get to see her, so I was stressing out about that, but luckily her booker and Bill DeMont stayed 30 minutes over, so that was a huge relief. Otherwise I wouldn't have been very happy with Maurice and Alicia that day. Who did you have after Atlanta? Miami, WrestleMania 28, where again you got to meet loads of wrestlers like John Cena, Triple H, CM Punk, although CM Punk's one was a bit of a rush job. It was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. Some people were getting their pictures blurred. It was the only one they were rushing out the lot, which was ridiculous. And then there was this year in New York where I went to with my sister and Chris, my good mate Chris. It was good fun. The access itself was an absolute shambles. The situation of where people were, so you had some just inside the concourse bit doing signings, some on the main concourse. It was all over the place, and as usual the staff were rushing things as always, as they don't really care about the fans. But still got to meet some really great people. Paul Heyman was brilliant, was joking with everyone. Overall I think the only ones I've never had a real problem with any wrestlers, but the only ones I've found a bit like they don't really want to be there is Mark Henry in Miami. You could tell he just wanted to go back to the hotel. But apart from him, they've all been fine with me, luckily. I've not had any real problems with them. But yeah, it's been great overall. It's 12 WrestleManias I've been to now. Many live shows, Raw, SmackDown, Survivor Series. Also been to 3 SummerSlams in America, plus the one here. Met loads of wrestlers. And even some of the wrestlers remember me now because of the shirts I wear with me and the wrestlers on them, which is really cool. But yeah, it's been great so far, and I'll be going to Orleans again next year. So basically that's my experience of wrestling so far. And nearly forgot, one of the first ever person I met was Mr. Perfect, an Undertaker in W.H. Smith's in London. That was back in '93, I think it was. Unfortunately I couldn't get a photo of either of them because the staff, as usual, even back then, were just rushing you through. But yeah, I was very lucky to meet Mr. Perfect, which was great. And also met Bret Hart that same year, I think, as well, at W.H. Smith's, which again was a cool experience. And, you know, through wrestling I've got to make a lot of friends via Twitter, and just being there in general I've got to meet some great people. And I met my girlfriend through wrestling as well, which was perfect. Yeah, it's been great so far. So that's my experience of wrestling. And again, thank you to Pepper Loves Punk for the name of my show, Clobbering Time with Craig, and Chris Fink, who came up with this first show idea of just my experience of wrestling. It's a cool idea, good way to start a show. Anyway, that's the end of the first show of Clobbering Time with Craig, and I'll speak to you next week.